Scene, yeah, started with an error. So you're doing your self-producing. I'll repeat myself. Hello and welcome to Hot Seat, the show without an intro. I'm sitting here with Will. Will, we're in quarantine, but you've got a pretty nice setup. What are we working with here?
Yep, we're indeed quarantined. The city is shut down right now. But we're at a nice place called Hydra Esport in Copenhagen. And yeah, I couldn't ask for anything better, really. The PCs are nice and yeah, it's got a gym in it. So that's all I can ask for, really.
You're
PCs in a gym.
you're in Denmark right now.
I am in Denmark.
Oh, shoot. So you're in Denmark. You may not leave Denmark.
I may leave Denmark, but the Europeans may not leave Denmark. So that kind of makes it so we have to stay here or the team gets split and we can't play. So we made a choice maybe, I want to say 3 weeks ago after the minor qualifiers where we were going to make a choice whether to stay in Europe or North America.
Yeah.
Because we knew that we would possibly get trapped in Europe or North America.
Mhm.
So we decided to be trapped in Europe since we have majority Europeans.
Nice. Where would you rather be trapped if it was majority North Americans?
I don't mind Europe. I'm 50-50, honestly, because
Yeah.
when I'm in North America, I'm not exactly home because I'm in Dallas, and that's not really necessarily it's home, not necessarily home for me.
Mhm.
But in Europe, you get better practice, and there's a lot better tournaments, in my opinion, online tournaments. So
Better practice. The gyms in Copenhagen, because everybody runs in Denmark. We stayed at a hotel once for Pro League where the gyms didn't have treadmills. Do you guys have treadmills?
well, I actually haven't been to the gym at a hotel that we're staying at because I know this could probably gonna be abysmal. But we have a little
Mm.
mini gym here at the Hydro, which has a little squat rack and a barbell and plates and this adjustable dumbbells and some kettlebells and some bands, which is honestly like that's a lot and it's plenty for me to work with because I think once you have a barbell and weights, you can kind of do anything you want with it. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's all I need really. I don't do cardio personally because yeah,
Don't do cardio. Is that how you got so
no.
big?
Yeah, pretty much. No, cardio doesn't necessarily kill your gains, but I think you can get cardio out of weightlifting if you do higher rep range. So I think that's enough for me.
Yeah, yeah, you can keep that heart rate high. I think a lot of people, well, either people are going to come out of this quarantine with rush hair but no gains, or rush hair and gains. And I think
Pretty
you're
much.
you're doing it the best way. You've got the gym going on, you've got the hair going on. What do people do if they're sitting at home and they need to figure out how to get the gains going? Have you ever been in a home gym situation?
I have been in it, but it's always involved a barbell. I'm not gonna say like it's impossible without a barbell, but obviously
Mhm.
like you're gonna make the most optimal like strength gains with a barbell and like a squat rack. But if you don't have that, I think you can stick to the basics and buy like a pull-up bar and just do push-ups and pull-ups like every day.
Mhm.
I think you should be able to not maybe pull-ups probably should do every other day and push-ups every day because you need time to recover. But I think like just doing like really like basic compound exercises like that are plenty, honestly. Obviously you can do more than that, but that's what I would do if I had just nothing.
Rush is really strong. Let me tell you a story. One time at Blast Lisbon, we were at the after party. It was in the sky bar of a hotel. You remember this? Waitress was walking around with tons of drinks, like all kinds of different types of cocktails, like every color in the rainbow. But her plates were always full because the drinks were free for us. So packed up there, in fact, that Rush got bumped into by the waitress and she dropped maybe 10 drinks down his back. And he was completely soaked in the back of his shirt and the top of his pants. And then I went up
Mm.
to Rush and I said, "Hey man, it looks like you peed your pants. That's kind of weird." And then he elbowed me in the ribs and said, "Haha, that's pretty funny." And at the time, I didn't say anything, but I thought my ribs were broken for the rest of the night. It actually hurt so badly, and Rush gave me a playful elbow, and I thought I broke my ribs. So I just needed to get that off my chest. And that was Lisbon 2018. How much progress has been made since then in the gym?
A lot. I mean, actually a lot though, because that's like I think Lisbon was maybe like after 8 months in. So yeah, I think if I elbowed you now, you might die. No, I'm just
It would
kidding, but
actually be broken.
yeah, pretty much. But I actually remember that story, and I was really fucking mad. Actually, God, because like I had to change fully because like the actual drinks went like they went like down my pants. Like it didn't go on my pants; it went down my
Oh
pants,
yeah,
and it went slid down my leg and everything.
yeah.
And it was like I felt bad for the waitress actually. 'Cause she was so embarrassed, but like Jesus Christ, that was a good start to the night.
Oh yeah, broken glass, like it's already packed. They were just
Oh
throwing
yeah.
back and forth. They're running out of like all kinds of alcohol. And that's day 5 of the land. So like you don't pack past day 5, right? You have that set of clothes for that day, and
Oh
then
yeah.
the next day you fly out in like clothes you wore on the
Nah,
clothes you flew in with.
I'm a safe packer. I always overpack for
Overpack.
specific situations like that. Yeah.
Okay,
I
wait.
I usually bring like, see, like on a 5-day trip, I'll bring like 8 days worth of clothes.
Whoa, 8 days worth of clothes. How much does your luggage weigh when you get to the airport?
Depends on the trip, but I'd say anywhere from 49 to 58. Sometimes I'm overweight, so it's definitely like a lot.
And so you've got the max size luggage, and then it's full of stuff.
Yep, pretty
And
much.
you have to. It's your responsibility now as a pro player to pack your keyboard, your mouse, your keyboard, or your mouse pad, etc. separately. Do you do that?
Sometimes I put things that aren't very like, if I lost it, I wouldn't be like that upset. So like my keyboard, I'll put in my check bag sometimes, but like my mouse and my mouse pads, I'll actually always keep in my backpack because if I
Hmm.
lose that, it kind of sucks. Because a fresh mouse pad feels different, and you never know if the people at the lands are gonna have the mouse you need. So those two I always keep. Headset and keyboard though I do sometimes put in my check bag because if I lost that, it's not the end of the world because there are always replacements at the lands.
It's a good point. I'm not particularly proud of it, but I hate washing my mouse pad because I hate that feeling that it's a new surface,
Yeah,
and
I
I
just
don't
buy a
want to.
new one.
What's that?
I just get a new one at that point. If it's like wearing down, I just get a new mouse pad.
Do you get the same? You get the same one, new one, and then but a new one also feels different, right?
Oh yeah, you have to break it in. It takes
Oh,
probably like a week for it to feel like
yeah,
better.
yeah. How much it like? Let's say you like if you don't. Let's say you don't perform well in a match. Could you blame that on a new mouse pad? I would at my level, but
Mm, I wouldn't twitch mouse pads before a match. So I wouldn't think that would ever happen. But I think if it did, yeah, I wouldn't blame it on the mouse pad because yeah, just shouldn't do that.
I was using Simple's mouse pad at the Blast Spring series because he spilled a drink on it. So, listen, we're all none of us are perfect. Eventually, your mouse pad is going to get destroyed before a match.
That's
Maybe you
true.
need to bring a broken-in mouse pad with you. Maybe that's the way to do it.
Hmm. I actually have two, but like just spares in case.
Um, so Rush, about this transformation, we've actually got a great photo from your Twitter.
Oh yeah.
You've got the stream open. I think you know which one I'm referring to. It's you. What are the dates on these photos? First of all, what are we looking at here? Talk us through this. On the one hand, you've got Rush. On the other hand, you've got Rush with headphones. I can barely tell the difference, man. What's going on?
So I don't have exact dates unless I actually look into it, but I think the left side was maybe 2016, but I wasn't lifting really consistently until the end of 2017.
Hmm.
So yeah, that was just before I lifted basically. So yeah, and the left picture was actually at, I think it was Blast in London, actually after workout.
Hmm.
You probably were there actually in the gym.
Yeah, I
I
think
went
we
to the
high
bathroom and I
fived.
snapped it. Yeah, snapped a pic, got a nice pump going, and
Nice.
that's after 2.5 years, 2 years and 4 months of working out.
When you took that photo on the left side, so I did like something similar where like one day I was like, I'm not gonna look like this anymore. I'm gonna take this photo because I'm confident that one day I'm gonna figure this out. Did you do
Yeah,
with that left photo? Was that you? And then right after that, did you start going at it?
I wouldn't say like that was like the moment, but that was more of like it was a before. I took pictures to show like what I looked like before, so that when I did reach a certain point, which I was like pretty satisfied with, I can look back and say, "Holy shit!" Like that's a huge difference. But that
Yeah.
wasn't like a moment where like after this, I'm going ham forever. Because that was actually I'd say like it wasn't another like 6 to 8 months before I actually started lifting frequently. So
Who's more swole, Swole Patrol or Complexity?
is that a joke? Come on, mate. No, I mean pound for pound, I think. You think? I don't know.
Blame
Slider
is
brings us
tipping
down
the
a bit.
scales.
Sliders bring us down. Ben's bringing
True.
us up. I'm up there a little bit. Christian's got some beef, and then Val's in between.
Yeah.
They got Cooper and Freak, who are big boys, and then but after
Yeah.
that they have nobody. So
That's
I
true.
think we got the edge.
Yeah, you have the edge, and you've got the better orc too. So I mean, you're winning. You got the 360 going on. You've got the creatine pump plus the infrastructure for a great CS. Rush. Before we talk about you on complexity, because this is for first of all, I'd like to say I think of a lot of players, you do give interviewers a lot. I appreciate it. You try to give good answers. You try to avoid the cliches. play your own game, et cetera, and so forth. You don't do that as much, and that's really nice. But apart from the CS talk, I'd like to talk more about like where you came from and who you are, because I feel like that's not out there. I've looked at a few interviews and couldn't find much on that. Rush, you're Polish. Are you close to your Polish roots in any sense? Do you feel attached to them? Were you born in America?
I was born in America, and so was my parents or my dad, and so were my grandparents. So actually, it's like pretty like there's not much like Polish roots in like terms of like in America. I feel like we do have roots back in actual Poland, but it's like so far back that it's hard to even like know. I think only a few of my like distant relatives know who they are, but
Mhm.
obviously my surname is Polish. Wierzba means like I think willow tree in Polish, and yeah, so I have a Polish surname, but in terms of being like coming from Poland or my parents come from Poland or speaking any Polish, I'm pretty like displaced. I don't have that much integration into that honestly, so I'm pretty American, just a mutt, you know.
Yeah, I hear you. I mean, I'm kind of the same way. My parents are like Indian Malaysian, but I spent all my time here. I didn't even grow up with Indian friends or Malaysian friends, so I grew up in like Chinatown and Koreatown. So most of my friends are either Chinese or Korean. Honestly, where did you grow up, and what did your life look like in terms of like the friends you had and like the school you
Mm.
went to?
I grew up I was born in Los Angeles, but I moved when I was 1 to Wisconsin, and that's where I grew up until I was 18. I went to the same school district for 18 years. So, or 19 years, 12 years. What am I saying? I lived there for 18 years though.
Hmm.
Point is that I was in the same school for 12 years, all grades, and I have some friends still, like I think 3 friends still from my middle school days that are like kind of like my best friends to this day that still live back there. The school was like pretty Midwest, average like a lot of Germans, a lot of Polacks, like a lot of just Caucasians. There
Hmm.
was maybe like 98% white people there, so it was like pretty like Midwest as you would expect. But yeah, that was basically my upbringing, and it was a lot of like going outside after school and not coming back till like 10, 11 at night. But then as I got older, it turned into from that to gaming from when I got home to night. So yeah, I guess I started gaming pretty hard when I was like pretty young, probably like 10. Yeah.
You have any brothers, sisters?
I have one brother. He's an older brother by 2 years.
Does he play games?
Oh yeah, he's definitely what got me into games. That's definitely a cliche story, but
Yeah.
we shared a computer a lot, so like it was a lot of arguments because when I was younger, obviously, this is when I was probably like just starting 10 to like 12 range. We didn't have our own computers, so we had to share one, and it was like there was some intense fights for sure over that
Fist
computer.
fist fights? Were you guys like getting
We
physical?
had some. We got
Psychological?
physical
Yeah.
for sure.
Um, who won?
Not me.
Not me. Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
because you're younger, a little bit smaller,
yeah, yeah,
and not
yeah. I
but
was I was kind of a runt. Like yeah, I was obviously short, but also like skinny when I was younger. So like
yeah.
he was like definitely bigger and like beefier than me. So like I gave it a shot, but it wasn't a good shot.
So since that like start of the transformation pick, did you just hang a picture of him up on the wall, just stare him at every day? I'm gonna win the
Actually,
fight
it's
over
funny
the
because like
computer one day.
it's pretty funny because like he was like the one who kind of introduced me to gaming and stuff like that, and he's also the one who kind of introduced me to lifting because he like was the one who like
Mm.
started going at it really hard. I mean, his the 3 lifts he has are insane. Like his squats like max is like 600, his deadlift 700, and his bench is like 370 or something like that. So he's a fucking monster. So he's more into powerlifting though. He doesn't really care about his physique that much. He just kind of works on the numbers. So, but I got into it from my dad and then also from him. So like that's kind of like I guess yeah, I copied them in
Oh,
both gaming and lifting.
oh wow. So you're lucky, and then I guess you're just lucky you have money to buy your own computer now.
Oh, pretty much,
Yeah,
yeah.
pretty
Otherwise, I would
much.
knock his ass
Yeah.
out right now.
If you had to, if it had to get there. Was your brother good at games? Was it you who was better?
I was better at FPS for sure,
Hmm.
and he was better at like MMOs. He played WoW a lot and stuff like that, and RuneScape and things like that. And he was actually like in like some of the best guilds, and he got like Gladiator and WoW, if you know what that is. And
Mm.
so he was really top tier PvPer, and I was always the better in FPSs. 'Cause I played a lot of Call of Duty growing up, and then Call of Duty 1. Counter Strike 1.6, Counter Strike Source, um, a lot of Call of Duties too and Xbox. There was a phase in my childhood where we played too many games that they took the computer away, so we transitioned into a console gamer for like 1 or 2 years because we had to, that's all we could play,
Mm.
and I became super good at that. Then we got the computer back, and that's when I went back to like Counter Strike and stuff and other games.
Why was the computer where your parents drew the line? Like for me, like my mom would walk into my room and then turn off my monitor, and like she didn't know enough about computers, so she thought that my computer was turned off when she turned off my monitor, and I make a big deal of it. Oh my god, I'll never get this thing back on, and then she'd leave the room and I turn it back on. Why was that the line though for your parents? The PC when the PS4 is still there, or the PS2, or whatever it was.
There was a lot of like, my dad was smart, but maybe not smart enough because like he would sometimes take the modem with him, sometimes he'd take the power cord, but when he took the power cord, my brother was smart enough to like he took a different like outlet or like power cord and he like carved out the shape of like the outlet, and he actually was able to plug it in by carving out like the right shape for it. So he had a different cord. So we used that for the computer, and he had used that for months on end. When my dad would go to work, he'd just plug it in and play all day. And then there was a point where when the computer was gone and we had Xbox, we told him that we were just playing offline with bots, and he's like, "Oh, that's fine. It's not too addicting, right?"
Yeah.
But we actually bought a wireless adapter for our Xbox, so we were playing online,
Nice.
and we were playing online every single day. And then one day he came in, he's like, "Why are you guys always talking? Like, who are you talking to?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh, it's voice commands. We're talking to the bots." It's just like, yeah. He's like, and then he bought it. So it's like,
Oh, nice.
I actually told him that story like recently. He's like, like you guys got me good.
Oh yeah, like you can do that now. It's
Yeah.
all good. Like
Oh
too far
yeah,
away,
I told
make too
everything.
much
I told
money.
everything. Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, that's awesome. It's so freeing to be able to like move away from home. Number one, like to be able to make your own money and to do the thing that your parents didn't understand when you were growing up. Do they get it now?
Yeah, they don't like necessarily watch the game that much because that that's not like they're not interested in it. They just I think it's hard for them to grasp because like they never gamed in their life really. Like some parents actually have gamed, but my parents never have gamed at all, so it's like hard for them to grasp. But they understand that it's like like a career, and it's like what I'm really good at, so it makes sense that I'm doing it now. And it took a while for my dad to realize that, but definitely he realizes now that it's the right path for me.
That's awesome. Yeah. I mean, at some point you can't deny the plane tickets. I mean, we don't get plane tickets anymore, but for the past couple of years, obviously we've got a lot of stamps in that passport. Rush.
Oh yeah.
I have this other photo. I think we used to play like 10 mans like together a long time ago, like Money 10 mans or something like that. Way back in the day. And I always remembered that you've had this photo that I'm going to pull up on the stream
Blueface?
on your on your profile pic. On your profile, this is like pinned as a screenshot. This is
the screenshot.
Yeah, Rush in a matchmake with 77 kills. And what's the story with this picture? First of all, when was this photo? That's 2013, right?
Yes, long time ago. I don't know exactly the date, but like this was like when I was definitely like in my like prime, like as a pug star, Like I was just running around, just headshotting everybody.
Yeah.
So like I don't know, it's just a matchmaking where like I had 40 kills in the first half. So I was like, what's happening? Like,
yeah.
So I just kept running, like, running down mid, and it was Inferno. So I kept running down mid or running up banana, and I don't know. I just worked, and I kept getting every kill. And I think I was waiting in queue for a while, and I think I got some lower ranked players, but even then, I don't know, popped off.
Yeah, I mean, even if you're playing against silvers, it's hard to find 77. Like, it's nearly impossible. I've never seen this.
It's 16-11 too. It's not even a 16-14 or anything like that. So it's
Dude,
like,
you should have thrown a few rounds. Last round you got a 4K.
I know, right?
What are you doing? And yeah,
I could have got 100.
Yeah, could have got 100. That would have been insane. Would have got picked up in 2013. So now I can add this to the stream. Explain the blue face. What's the the raging blue face profile picture?
It's more of a face. I think it's like an old, those old memes like Forever Alone and like stuff like that. And
yeah.
I forget the other ones like Me Gusta and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Well, this one was like the I lied face, and I think it just looked really like annoying. So like if you die to like, as you say, you get instantly digged or instant one shot by that face, and it just pops up on your screen.
Yeah.
And it's a blue face. Is like, holy fuck, this guy just wrecked me. Like it's supposed to install this like fear, but also like anger in you. I think it worked.
Yeah, to get people to rage. I remember. Do you remember what Fugly on ESEA? His profile picture was like that. Those like disgusting faces. It's just like you don't want to get killed by this guy because you just feel terrible about yourself. Yeah. So it's a psychological warfare for you. When was it that you knew that you could be pro? And like how much of And did you play 1.6 and Source? How much did you
I
mess around in those games? Like, what point were you thinking about being pro?
I played 1.6 very, very like just casually, like just pubs. This not that much honestly. I played more Source than anything. I played a lot of Source mini games, like obstacle courses, Death Run. I put a ton of Death Run
Death
mini
Run's
games.
sick.
Honestly, I
Yeah.
probably yeah, like 500 to 1,000 hours just in that.
Yeah.
Um, so like that was like what I did for just for fun, and I didn't play it competitively at all. Honestly, I didn't know there was a competitive side to it that much. Honestly, so when CS:GO came out, I played it a lot, and I liked it a lot. And
Hmm.
then I joined when I played ESCA. That's like pugs. That's when I realized there was actually a competitive side to it. And I was playing like 200 pugs a month sometimes, so I was like grinding hard.
Hmm.
And then I just got better and better and better. And yeah, I think that after maybe 6 months of playing, I'm like, I want to compete, and that's when I joined my first open team, and then just kind of climbed the ranks from there. I think it just all came down to like playing a lot, like
Yeah.
in my early days.
So I wonder, do you come to a point where you realize you can be a pro, or do you start out with that will to become a pro? And what was like, did you have one of those two paths where you were like, I'm I'm shining in Maine right now. I'm going to be good next season. I'm going to get on a good team. My teammates are sick. Or do you start out like something terrible happens one day and you just like, I'm going to be a CS pro because this is what I want to do. I know I can do it even before I've seen myself play good.
I think it was more of like just a natural like love for the game. Like I just loved it so much, and that like that passion is to want to play day in day out, whether whatever happened, like whether I become pro or not. I don't think I was like striving to do that like every day, like oh I gotta become pro. Like I think if you put that much pressure on yourself, it might be hard to like, attain that goal. I think you
Mm-hmm.
kind of have to like the game and have a passion for it from the get go. I'm not saying it's impossible to be pro with the aspiration to go pro. I just think that you're at a more of an advantage if you just like naturally have this game that you love a lot and you're good at it and you're just getting better naturally. Then that's like a good path to become a pro. But that was my path, and it's definitely a way to become a pro just by wanting to go pro. But
Mm-hmm.
you set these like expectations on yourself that might be too high. Like maybe like pressuring yourself like I'm in school but I want to become pro, or I'm working and I want to become pro. I got to put more hours in. Just a lot of pressure for sure. But I think like if you just love the game and you play it a lot, I think if you have the potential to go pro, it'll happen eventually.
I think there's a lot of red herrings for younger players right now because there are these mixed signals that now we are in a world of esports where like you can see making a serious salary if you became a pro one day, and so you can actually like you can find a lot of people that have the plan before they've even played a season of open that they are going to be pro one day, or like they see it in themselves, and like the people haven't changed so much but the circumstances have, and like the infrastructure to become a pro has, but it's also become more competitive as well. What advice would you give somebody who has that kind of feeling, that aspiration, but they haven't proven anything quite yet? Like, what would you tell them? What would you tell former Rush if Rush was to become a pro in today's world?
Just make sure you improve every day. But I don't think you should make your lifestyle so unhealthy to the point that your whole life is the game, because in the early days, obviously you have to make a living somehow, whether it be going to school or working. But I think that you have to find a balance between both. Like you can't. I think going all in on one of them early on is that healthy. I think it's possible to go pro by going all in, but I didn't do that myself. Even I was going to school for a year, and I was also working full time for a year while I was trying to go pro. So I think that I realized that I can't just go all in. So like I said, just make sure you have a good balance, and just make sure every day that you don't go in with a warped or bad mindset and try to improve on whatever you're trying to improve on, whether it be aim, like your role you're in, your team you're in, whatever map you're playing that day. Just try to improve on little things every day, and you get better every day. Without if you don't get better every day, there's no point really to try to do that.
Yeah, yeah.
Try to become pro.
One step at a time. So we are on the hot seat. I think it's time to ramp it up a little bit. I want to ask more kind of like direct questions and force some introspection out of you, and then eventually we'll call to the chat if you guys have questions to tweet them to me or Rush, or just with the hashtag Blast Premiere or hashtag Blast Sessions, and then we'll read those questions and have Rush ask them. Respectful but direct, something interesting that's like kind of a unique take that you haven't heard a lot of players get asked. So we've talked to you, Rush, about who you were kind of growing up, and like we're getting closer to like where you're at now. And one of the things I'd like to know is What's the last hard conversation that you've had with yourself as a player?
That's a hard question. Probably, I don't know necessarily the last one, but like a general one is like accepting my role within the team, whether it be the old Cloud9 roster with like the Stewie in them, the good one, not the rough ones, or this current team, realizing that I have the skill to be a really good player, but I have to realize that there are younger players out there that have a lot of potential and they still haven't reached their ceilings yet.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to be the player that brings the experience and the knowledge to like unlock those players. Like I think that I do have a lot of skill still, and I think that I could play some really solid roles, but I think that I'm actually pretty valuable being the guy that unlocks others because I can make their life so much easier by them just focusing on whatever role or like entering or just like not having to throw nades and just keeping their gun out. I think that's like that's where I'm at right now, and telling myself that maybe it's a little hard because that kind of shows that you're becoming a support player. But I think every team needs one at the end of the day. So as long as I have the players with me that have those high ceilings, I'm glad and happy to do it.
As a
If that
as a
makes sense. I kind
as,
of on a bit
no,
about that,
that's
but
that makes perfect. That's super clear, and I think that's not a very uncommon thing to hear. I was talking to Olaf at Blast, and it's kind of the same situation for him. He was at one point like a star player, right? Obviously, and it's not that that player has left by any means. It's more what other responsibilities you're taking on so that you guys can win. And so, do you still what are the sacrifices, to get specific, with being the teammate that can help out in other ways and the teammate who's just there to frag out? What are the differences between those two people? What makes it harder to kind of think about your teammates more? What does that look like
I
in
mean,
practice?
at first, obviously, like the big thing is you're not going to be on the scoreboard as high anymore because you're playing harder spots or harder roles. But that's kind of like, I don't know what the word is, like superficial to like always like think about stats. I think that yeah, it's important, but I think that at the end of the day, like for me, what I get satisfaction out of is like winning and having like a really clean round that like that you had an impact on. So whether it be you're throwing that flash or you are getting the entry kill and then you're dying, but you got the sight, like things like that. I think when you're a high end pro, when you made that play. The public may not know it,
Mm-hmm.
but you and your teammates know that. So I think that's enough for me. I don't need that satisfaction from looking at Twitter and seeing like, oh, you played sick today, whatever. Like looking at the stats on HLTV. Like I used to do that all the time when I was younger and like an optic and stuff like that, and it felt great. But if you're losing it, it really doesn't matter, right? So I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
answer a question from Blame. He said, "How hard is it to sacrifice roles and spots in a team when you were once the star?" Yeah, I mean it's the same question, right? But like it's
Yeah.
definitely it seems like it seemed like it would be hard, but for me it's not. I get a lot of joy and satisfaction actually out of playing hard spots because
Mm.
when you play them good, that means like you're doing so much work for the team. And also when you like I said, when you make a nice flash work or you trade a kill perfectly or you get the entry kill, all those things are like they feel better to me than getting top of the scoreboard randomly and losing the game.
Were you ever a hothead in the team speak? I remember a LAN. I think it was you were either on Conquest or Optic, and it was either Sivo or the Miners. And I remember that you played on Nuke with Nafly, and you guys got into an argument, and we like tuned into the comms where Little Rushy and Little Naffy never make a noise outside of the server on broadcast. We never saw it before. All of a sudden, we tune into the comms for a second. These guys were reaming each other out. Do you remember this? It was something stupid about just
No,
like
of course I do.
blocking
It's
each
been all over
other.
the place, and I
It
get
was
trolled by it all the time.
yeah. So
I'm pretty
what's
sure my
the
teammates have linked me.
well, okay? What's
It's
the
like
story there? Yeah.
I would say me and Neff. I mean, I'm sure Neff could say the same thing, but we kind of like were like brothers back then. Like in terms of like we were so close that like we had this relationship where we could go at each other and be fine the next round. And that's kind of what happened there. Like you guys saw us at maybe our worst, like in terms of like arguing, but like the next round we're like, all right, let's do this default. I got you. I got a flash for you. Like nothing like stuck after that round.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was more of like in the moment. I got mad for no reason, and he got mad at me. Kind of like they added on to each other, and we fed up each other. But in the inside it was actually fine and nothing was wrong,
Mm.
and at the end of the day we're still good friends from that, so I can see why it would look bad though.
That's cool. I mean, that's like the Shaq and Kobe thing, right? Where people were like trying to figure out what was their relationship really like because they would argue when in reality they were both there to win, and they were able to put those to the side when they needed to. What are you looking at? Is that another question?
Yeah, let's see. It's Ben. I'm guessing Ben's a huge focus. Blame F is literally here at the office. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure just asking questions on his phone, but he's saying, "Question: What do you need to do to be a better player? You specifically, Rush." I'd say probably maybe some these days focus more on my individual skill because I think that I focus so much on the other aspects of games that I could probably play a little better individually because I always focus on my teammates and making sure everything is running smoothly. But at the end of the day, sometimes I should just focus on my crosshair,
Interesting.
just like you should, Ben.
Oh wow. Yeah. Now you get to ask some questions too. Um, you had a quote here from an interview. The feeling when you get to taste being on top, only for it to come down crashing so quickly, is something I can't get past. It is because this that I've decided to join Cloud9 alongside Tarek. This was going from Optic to
Yeah.
Cloud9, and then you had the same up and down on Cloud9. I mean, the highest high, right? The Boston Major, the infamous Boston Major. Are you in this second part of your career chasing that same dragon? What is the result that could kind of meet and match that you got on Cloud9 after that second roller coaster? You know, E-League Season 2 or whatever, and then the Boston Major. What's the next thing that you need?
I guess they kind of mirror each other in terms of like what we went through because in Optic we were going through like so many different roster changes trying to fix a roster that was kind of like semi-dead after we lost Stanislaw, and then in the end it didn't work out. And Tarek left for Cloud9, and we were instantly better because it was a really fresh look for us. I think same thing Cloud9, like we tried to make a roster work for a long time, and there were some good, some bad iterations, and at the end of the day, it didn't work out. And I think getting a fresh look for me was really important. I think I felt and feel motivated in this roster more than I have since I joined Cloud9, honestly, and since early Optic days. Like I feel like there are times when we don't improve and we stagnate, but there are times when we look really good in practice and in matches, and that's when I feel the best. And like I said, the dark times are sometimes like any team. Like we have like moments where like we have a week where the practice is bad and we lose some matches. Like obviously we didn't make it through EPL, which kind of sucks. But at the same time, we have a lot of things coming up there. We have to look forward to. They have to be at our best for those. But overall, yeah, I have a lot of motivation in this team especially because a lot of hard workers, mainly Ben is a hard worker. I've said it many times, but I don't think without him we would be where we are. And I'm not saying that 'cause he's in the chat. That little bitch.
Yeah, he's a little bigger than you and watching. We have good words about Naf, good words about Ben. Who's your favorite teammate of all time?
Oh my god, you guys put that
Be
on me
honest.
because he's favorite teammate of all time.
Picking your favorite doesn't make anyone your least favorite.
I had to think about this one. This is actually like hard.
It can be multifaceted, the answer. It can be because their personality, but just their performance, or just your natural chemistry, because you like their haircut, you thought they were a cool guy, like whatever it was.
Can I pick? I'm not gonna answer this for one. I have to pick like 2 or 3 in no particular order. That's the only way I'm gonna do this.
Okay, pick a top 3. Okay, go ahead.
There it is. You're not happy about that one. I can tell. You
I'll
can't just
take
pick
it,
one
fine.
though. Then
Whatever
you're
you give
throwing
me.
everyone else under the bus.
That's
You
fine,
know.
man. Listen, I expected more of you, but it's okay. I'm over it. Go ahead.
Okay. Top 3 in no particular order.
Yeah.
Blame F.
Number 1. Wow.
Flusha.
Okay. Number 2.
Hey, I said no particular order. Flusha.
Yeah.
Number 2.
Oh wow.
And number 3, I have to think it's like between Tarek and Automatic. So I'll say 4, Tarek and Automatic.
Tarek and Automatic. What's
No,
the
no. Wait, no.
Go for it.
Oh my god.
Speak
I
your
have
mind.
to do 3. I'm just gonna do 3. Honestly, I want to say Stewie as number 3. I put that's a curveball because
Yeah.
he sacrificed so much for the team all the time. He was I wasn't gonna say him because he got very like intense, but I think he was more passionate more than anything. But I think that he just like gave so much of the game in terms of like sacrificing himself in game and always wanting to make the team better, and he's always grinding. So I think he brings a lot to the team, and I think he is the reason that Liquid got so good in that run. I think he brought a lot to the team overall. So yeah. Sorry, Owen. Owen, you got a lot to. Owen said yikes.
Hey, there's some history there. Obviously, they've got some nice words about Flusha as well. How did he jump in with such a short tenure on the team to number 2, the number 2 spot?
I mean, I have to read chat. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, go for it. No.
It's funny because everyone's saying like Oboe said yikes because he didn't get mentioned. This is why you really threw me on the spot here. And
That's
then
the hot seat,
Ben
baby.
said, "Yikes, I lost everything for you." I literally said your top 3, bro. What more do you want from me? All right, what was the question?
The question is, you got Flesha there, number 2, and he's not even played with you for that long. How did
Yeah, yeah.
how did he scoop the number 2 spot? What's so cool about Flesha as a
He just
teammate?
he's a very naturally talented individual in anything he does, I think. So
He's good at ping
he
pong.
he's yeah, I mean in most things he does, he's just really good at. I think in Counter-Strike he just had a natural talent and he made everyone on the team better and I think he made us better and I think it sucked that it didn't work out with him on Cloud9 because obviously I think his mom died. It was a very sad time because we were at a major and it happened. I was like, holy shit, like this sucks for him.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, him as a teammate, he knew the game at such like natural level that's why I like playing with him because every day I got better.
I have 2 more questions before we wrap and take a couple more questions from the chat. If you've got good ones, get them ready. First question. If you could only watch one player's demos for the rest of time, whose demos would it be?
Jesus. It would probably have to be someone that I would replicate a lot, right? Not something that would be something useless to me would be like an opera, for example, right? So I shouldn't watch an opera.
Blame's
Or
like jumping up and down in the chat right now, waving his hand.
I can't watch blame demos because that just teach me what not to do every round. I'm just kidding. Probably someone like Zipex, just because I play every role, most roles he does, not every role, and I think that he's a really smart player. So I can still learn stuff from him.
Yeah, pretty cut and dry there. Last one here. Who's a player you've always wanted to play with?
I don't even know. I haven't really thought about that one. Let me think.
Anyone that you've seen that you're like, damn, I just wish I had that. I just wish I had that star power on the team. I just wish I had the chance to play with this player. Like, damn, dude, one day if Device is on my
So
roster.
obviously, I think it was Blame F, and I got to play with him. So I guess I got that dream.
Was it
right?
Blame F? Blame F was the guy that you were looking
for. No, I don't know. I'm not saying Ben's not the team I want to play with, but I never really had a guy that I'm always like, man, I wish I would play with him. So I'd have to really like dig deep and think about that.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe we'll get back to that. I'll think about that one if you want to continue.
On episode 10 or something, maybe I'll have you back
Yeah.
and we can hash our way through that. What other we've got a question in the chat from Abdo Juma 10. What do you think about Half-Life Alex? And that makes me wonder, what other games do you play, Rush?
Right now nothing, but I play Pummel Party actually with my videographer and
yeah.
my manager. There's some de-stress, even though it is kind of stressful.
Yeah. Okay.
But I definitely dominate them in that game, so that feels good.
Multi-talented.
But right now I just play Counter-Strike and like I said, Pummel Party, which is it's like Mario Party at the end of the day. But the games I played in the past, a lot of single player games, like the Bethesda games like Fallout, Skyrim, those type of games.
Okay.
And then MMOs like WoW. I played classic WoW over the summer for a bit. Got to level 57 and then quit when Jason Lake messaged me. Just quit the game instantly. And I'm serious actually.
Yeah.
And then I think I play a lot of Rust actually when I have like time off because that's a very grindy, very intense game that takes over your life for a good amount of time, like a good week.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't play that unless I have a long break. So yeah, Rust is another game. I'd say if I had 2 games I play the most, it's Counter-Strike and Rust.
Counter-Strike and Rust, nice. Rust has Counter-Strike roots too. Goose Min Lee, he makes like models in that game. He like designs models in that game
nice.
after making Counter-Strike. So yeah,
that game is amazing. Honestly, like
is it good?
It's so good yet so bad. I think anyone that plays Rust would know what I'm talking about. Rust will destroy your life, but also make you like super like I don't know. It just sucks you in like no other, and it's a job. It's a full-time job, which is absurd. But
yeah, you gonna jump on the Animal Crossing train or what's going on?
No, I have a Switch, but I left it at home. So even if I wanted to play, I couldn't play it. But I never got into Animal Crossing when I was younger, so yeah, didn't really get into it.
No nostalgia vibes, yeah. Okay, question from Paul on Twitter. Serious question here. To respond to Will first, who would win in a fight, Mohan or Connor Scrawny, and why? Describe the hypothetical fight in detail, the setting, the action, the dramatic speeches, etc. Mohan then can respond after. Okay, Paul. First of all,
Dramatic.
you're not a fucking writer. Okay, you don't get to do this. You can't actually tell people what their lines are and how to like enact the scene. All you do is get to ask one question. So we get to make that who would win in a fight, Mohan or Connor. Go ahead.
I think you, because you just like hold his head because you got a long arm. I think you have a big wingspan, so like you just be like,
Yeah,
just punch him.
I can
Yeah.
I can reach the remote from anywhere in the room. That's like my shitty
Yep.
superpower.
My manager Josh asks, "How does it feel to have to lie about your promo party skills to make yourself feel better?" He's just salty. That's the salty comment I've ever seen. The most salty I've ever seen, honestly. But
Wow.
do you ever change your settings, or do you keep them the same for the most part? That's what I don't even know. LNXACS.
Yeah, where do you set
I change. I keep my settings the same for sure. I think I'm a big advocate of keeping them the same, but at the same time, if you're like new and coming up in the scene, or like say like 1,000, 2,000 hours, you still have room to change your settings because you kind of have to find your niche and what you're good at.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it took me time, and I figured it out. But I still changed my settings. Like say like last time I changed my settings was probably like a year ago. I lowered my sense by 0.2. And that's it. So that's the last setting I've changed.
Here's a problem I have with the whole settings conversation. No player is like perfect, right? Like a lot of players change their settings and become good. There's not really much evidence that if you never change your sense, you get progressively better every year, even if you play consistently. What do you think about that?
What was that?
There's no evidence that if you don't change your settings, you technically get better at aiming over every year after year. Do you agree with that?
There's actually I read I think it was Reddit. There's actually like a study showing that when you change it more, it's better because your brain is more actively trying to like adjust to it. But when you keep it the same, your brain gets into like a mode where it's very comfortable and laxed. But when you change it a little bit every time or a little bit every once in a while, your brain kind of like, oh, I got to react to this, or I got to like change this, and it gets into a more like hyperactive mode. I don't know if I believe that because I haven't tried it, but the science behind it sounds kind of right, I guess. But
yeah,
for me personally, I feel more comfortable if I keep the same settings always. I think, I don't know. It really is to each their own. I think there is no right or wrong answer. I think it's just a case by case basis on what you play the best on.
Mm-hmm.
That's it, really. Ben asks, "Who's the biggest Danish Viking?" Rush. Has to be Kerrigan, right?
Kerrigan, the biggest. Is Kerrigan
Danish Viking?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no. Yeah. But Ben is definitely the physically biggest Danish Viking. Okay. I know. He wanted me to say that because he's obviously he's a big boy. So
but are those muscles dense or are they just big?
He's a bit fluffy.
He's a bit fluffy. A bit of fluff.
I don't know. I've touched them. They're pretty dense. I've touched his muscles.
Dense. Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. Do we have any more questions from Twitter? I think that's all I've got. Rush. Rush, what are you already given advice to the new players coming up in the scene? What do you tell people for dealing with? Final question. Okay, this is the last question. What do you tell people when it comes to dealing with their parents not letting them play? Should you go behind their back and lie about getting a wireless router, or should you tell them straight up that there's people winning $30 million at the international, and you want to play Dota? What's the strat with dealing with your parents if you want to become an esports pro?
You should give them something. You shouldn't just like expect to have the computer and free reign to do whatever you want, because it's not really fair to them, because they want you to have a structured life. So I think as long as you prove to them that you're gonna be okay in school, like have decent grades, then you should say like that's enough for you to play as much as you want. I think it's a good argument to say I can play as much as I want as long as I have good grades, or as long as I have a job or whatever it is, then I can play as much as I want. I think those things are fair, but to say like to ask the computer, because even me, I think when I was younger, I was very selfish in like wanting to play the computer when I had bad grades, or wanted to play the computer when I didn't have a job, stuff like that. So I think that you just got to give your parents something in return. You can't just have like 100% you, 0% them. So just gotta give something for sure.
Okay, last question. Will you let Oboe cut your hair?
That's a hard no.
What would it take? How much money would it take to allow Oboe to cut your hair? We can crowdfund this.
To allow Oboe to cut my hair? $5,000.
$5,000. $5,000? You're telling me you wouldn't let Oboe cut your hair for $2,000?
No.
Not a chance.
He would butcher me. And I wouldn't be able to leave this office, even though I don't already leave this office. I wouldn't be able to leave this office.
That's the thing. Who have you got to prove it to? Okay, well, let's try to raise that money. Thank you so much, Rush, for being on the hot seat. I hope you had a good time. I thought it was pretty interesting. Got a lot of good insight out of you. Thanks for the questions in chat. Everybody say bye to chat, Rush. Bye. Bye, guys. Take care.
Bye, chat. Thanks for showing up. I
All right.
appreciate it.